This is the day human civilization comes to an end. Every inch of the earth is tearing apart. Cities collapse, the oceans surge. The disaster film 2012 depicts not only the destruction of the world, but also reveals the good and evil of human nature in extreme crisis. When doomsday arrives, every choice one makes means life or death, honor or disgrace. A monk meditating is suddenly shocked. A steady stream of water is gradually engulfing the Himalayas. He does not yet know the end has come. But as the waves stronger, it turns and rings the sacred bell. And this is the Mayan prophecy that once shocked the world. Elsewhere, a family of four is having dinner when suddenly the ground begins to shake violently. They quickly hide under the table. At that moment, ex-husband Jackson bursts in. No time to explain. He urges them to get in the car immediately. The streets are collapsing en masse. Jackson floors the gas pedal. Buildings are falling faster than he can drive. But just ahead, a car is moving slowly. Helplessly, Jackson swerves onto the median. The slow car crashes into the buckling road. Luckily, they speed through, only to be blasted by sewage from a ruptured pipe. They aim for the highway, only to see a cement truck falling from above and crashing into a gas station. The ground keeps crumbling around them. Jackson turns the wheel sharply, desperately searching for a way out. He squeezes past a collapsing overpass, only to be blocked by a falling skyscraper. With no choice, he drives straight into a building. Just before he collapses entirely, they burst out the other side, barely escaping death. They arrive at the airport, hoping to escape the chaos by air, but their pilot is already dead. Fortunately, Gordon once took a few online flying lessons. Though it's nearly hopeless, Jackson begs him to try. The plane starts just as the runway begins to split apart. At the last second, the plane lifts off, but Gordon's flying is wobbly, and they nearly crash into collapsing buildings. Below, the land has become a living hell. Then the entire continent sinks beneath the sea. They are now among the few survivors. Now, Jackson finally learns the truth. 3 years ago, a scientist named Adrian Helmsley went to India to visit his friend, Satnam. Satnam was a believer in the Mayan prophecy, but not blindly. His faith was based on science. He led Adrian into an underground mine. Satnam explained that increased solar activity was causing a surge of neutrinos, which would disrupt Earth's crust by December 21st, 2012. Massive tectonic shifts would occur. The entire world would be overturned. Humanity, small and fragile, would not survive such devastation. Realizing the danger, Adrian rushed back to the White House. The president, once informed, immediately gathered global leaders to develop a survival plan for humanity, codenamed Project Ark. They chose to bet China for its towering mountains. And because only Chinese engineering could build such a feat in time, but seats on Ark were limited. Only elite specialists or the ultra-rich could secure a place with €1 billion tickets. Then a powerful quake hit California. Cracks opened throughout the city. To most, it was just natural tectonic movement. Coincidentally, Jackson had taken his kids camping at Yellowstone. He noticed the scenery had changed. The lake had dried up, and the ground was abnormally hot. Military vehicles appeared. Jackson realized this was serious. Adrian and the military were there investigating a possible supervolcano eruption. They forced Jackson to leave. Adrian measured the ground temperature, a terrifying 2,400 C. The Mayan prophecy was unfolding, but Jackson still had no idea. As he left, a strange man blocked his way. Charlie, a prophecy fanatic, he told Jackson the world was ending and revealed our plan. Though skeptical, Jackson took the beer Charlie offered. Charlie warned him that everyone who leaked info about doomsday had been silenced by governments. One of them was Jackson's old friend. Jackson started to believe, but reason pulled him back. Charlie rambled on about the real cause of the disaster, but Jackson walked away. Back in the city, the shaking grew worse. Cracks opened in the ground. He delivered his kids home safely when his boss called, asking him to pick up his sons at the airport. Before boarding, the boss's son dropped a bombshell.
We have tickets to go on a big ship. We will live and you will die.
Jackson stared at the cracks in disbelief. Could the Ark be real? Was doomsday truly here? He remembered Charlie, the one man who knew the Ark's location. Landing at Yellowstone, Jackson found Charlie's RV, but no sign of him. Then the radio crackled. Charlie was broadcasting from a mountaintop. Jackson rushed there. Suddenly, birds flew from the trees. Moments later, the supervolcano erupted after 600,000 years. Jackson urged Charlie to escape, but he refused. He wanted to witness this marvel. With no time to argue, Jackson drove the RV downhill. The volcano exploded violently. Jennifer thought they wouldn't make it back, but suddenly, the RV appeared. He handed off his daughter and returned to the RV. Gordon had started the plane. They had to leave immediately. Jackson grabbed the map. Just then, a fireball struck the RV. It tipped into a crater. Everyone thought Jackson was dead until they crawled out of the fissure. He sprinted for the plane. At the last second, Jennifer grabbed his hand. Fireballs rained down. They narrowly dodged each one. Finally, They escaped Yellowstone. Jackson opened the map. Noah's Ark was in Tibet, but this small plane wouldn't get them there. They needed a bigger aircraft. Worldwide, disaster struck relentlessly. The U.S. president stayed alone in a church. He refused to abandon his people. He announced the end of humanity, but said nothing of the Ark. It was too cruel for the poor. Airports fell into chaos. Jackson and his group arrived. He saw his wealthy boss with Ark tickets. He had an escape plan. A guard told them they found a plane that could reach China, but it needed two pilots.
Gordon the pilot?
Yes, he is. Great pilot. Let's go.
And so, Gordon the amateur pilot stepped up again, ignoring security. They rushed the plane. As it took off, the runway crumbled beneath them. The plane plunged, but they managed to lift off. They nearly hit a building, but dodged just in time. Below them, Las Vegas disintegrated. Despite the grief, they pressed on. If they reached Tibet and the Ark, they could survive. A new problem arose. Despite switching planes, fuel was still insufficient to reach China. They planned to refuel in Hawaii, but when they arrived, they found it scorched. A sea of fire with no life. They had no choice but to continue. Luckily, Earth's crust shifted 1,000 kilometers. They reached Tibet just as fuel ran out. Now, they had to land on snowy mountains. The boss proposed driving out of the cargo plane. The captain stayed behind to ensure their escape. As the plane hit ground, the car sped out, barely stopping in the snow. But the captain wasn't so lucky. The plane fell off a cliff and exploded. The blast attracted helicopters. They thought rescue had come, but the Chinese soldiers asked for Ark tickets. Only the boss had. Not even his girlfriend was allowed. Watching him leave with his sons, everyone's heart sank. They'd come so far, but without €1 billion tickets, they were denied survival. Still, Jackson wouldn't give up. He led the group on foot. They encountered a truck. Its driver was heading to the Ark. The old man's grandson worked inside as a welder. He knew a secret meant entry, but more people meant more risk. Though Jennifer couldn't understand Chinese, she saw the man hesitate and begged him to at least take the kids. Finally, moved by the elder's plea, he let them all come, but the Ark now faced another crisis. A massive crowd was left behind. Sensing something was wrong, the boss punched a guard and led a charge to the Ark, but they were delayed. Behind them, panic spread. People pushed forward. Falling into the abyss, the boss hid with his sons and spotted Jackson's group climbing aboard secretly. Through the vent in the control room, Adrian watched the chaos and remembered Dr. Suratani's death. Despite the acting president's objections, he contacted world leaders and persuaded them to open the gates. Other nations agreed. They opened the door just minutes before the tsunami hit. Once inside, the gate shut again. The boss, stuck outside, pushed his children up but fell to his death just as they thought they were safe. A malfunction occurred. The gate wouldn't close. Gordon and a welder had fallen into the gear system. Their tools jammed the mechanism. The welder was wounded. Gordon was shredded. Now, the gate wouldn't seal, and the engines couldn't start. If the next tsunami hit, they crashed into Mount Everest. Inside, everyone would die. At the last moment, Jackson volunteered to fix the gem. Ignoring Jennifer's pleas, he dove back down, but no matter how hard he tried, the tool was stuck. Just then, a light shone on him. His son had come to, following his son's idea. Jackson wrapped a cable and used the wave's force to yank the tool free. The gate sealed shut. Engines roared to life, but a massive iceberg approached. At that final moment, the Ark powered up and pushed back against the tsunami. They narrowly avoided Mount Everest. The crisis was over. Jackson surfaced. The crowd cheered. The welder gave him a thumbs up. A year later, they survived on the Ark. The doors would open from time to time, letting people breathe fresh air. With Earth's crust now stable, mankind prepared to begin a new life.